Hey guys, this is Troy with Mainstream Linux. So you've made that decision. You've made the conscious decision, or maybe you're in the middle of trying to make that decision on switching from Windows to Linux. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today on Mainstream Linux. I was introduced to Linux in about 2009 and actually stumbled across it accidentally when I was looking for an alternative operating system. And my first distro that I ever used was Linux Mint. You can go to Linux Mint right now and boom, they're still there. They're one of the more popular distros: Vim, Ubuntu, Pop! OS, Fedora. I'm personally running Manjaro at the present. But there are a lot of different distros out there to get you what you want and what you need. But most importantly, it's really the ability to customize it and make it what you want it. Now, one of the reasons I like Linux is for the ability to see just what Linux is doing with my hardware. And if you sit here and look, at present, my memory with OBS running, I'm using about a gigabyte of my memory. I have CPUs at about 23%. And if you look down at network history, this computer is not sharing anything with Microsoft. It's not sharing anything outside the bounds of what I'm asking it to do right now, which is to search for updates in the background. Now, that's another beautiful thing about Linux. You ever get on your Windows computer to do work, and you get ready to do work, and you're wondering why it's so slow? So you run over to settings, and you look at updates, and this thing's in the middle of downloading updates longer than your arm. Yes, been there, done that. Yes, you can go through a lot of steps to shut this off or reschedule it or, get it to do it at another time. There are a lot of steps to get to that. But the most common user of the PC wants to be able to plug it in and go and play and work and do whatever they want to do. With Windows, it's almost like you've got to jump through 3 or 4 different hoops. You've got to, send out smoke signals just to get it to stop sharing your information, to get it to stop updating without your permission. And then once you finally do get it set up the way you want it set up, then you get an update, you install update, and the next thing you know, you're having to reset all these settings. You don't have to do that with Linux, okay? Yes, there are times when you're going to have to stop and do some cleaning and take care of things on your Linux machine, but not near the time that you would spend on a Windows machine. So now I'm in the Windows desktop. Let's just take a look real quick at our system, see where we're running. Performance. Okay, right now with OBS running, I'm at 2.9 gigs of RAM. Now the funny part is when I'm just at idle without OBS running, I'm anywhere between 2.5 and 3.2 gigabytes of RAM being used at idle. I mean, come on, that's 1/3, almost a half sometimes of my RAM being used at idle. For what? I want to utilize that with productivity. I want to utilize that with the work that I'm doing. Also, if you sit here long enough, you'll watch these spikes on your Wi-Fi as this computer phones home to Microsoft. It's just, it's not worth the headaches and the time spent trying to get it to work the way I want to. Now, let me tell you something. If you've been thinking about Linux, I know you're going to hear a lot of different things outside of what I'm talking about, but you're going to hear a lot of people say things like, Linux is too hard to learn, Linux this, Linux that. The purpose of this channel is to bring the beginner in, let them be able to install the distribution of Linux on their PC and use it as a tool or for productivity, just like they're doing with their Windows machine, but doing it with an operating system that doesn't cost a penny and free and open source software that, quite frankly, is as good, if not better, than what's available for Windows. So, let's continue. Okay, the next question you have to ask yourself. It's real simple. What applications do you use on Windows? And what applications can you use on Linux? I mean, it's a given. Proprietary software is not going to run on Linux unless you run it through Wine and you want to go with a nightmare like that. Honestly, if there's something out there that you're using, whether it be Microsoft Office, you can find a counterpart to it on Linux. Instead of Microsoft Office, I now use LibreOffice. You will go online and you will read reviews of LibreOffice, and people will say that it looks dated or whatever. Really, if you're in this to do work and be productive, LibreOffice is a great, great piece of software. And guess what? It's free and open source. I was embedded into the Microsoft ecosystem really deep. When I made my switch, put in LibreOffice, I have not missed a beat. Not only do you get Writer, when you get LibreOffice, you're going to get Calc, you're going to get Draw, Impress, LibreOffice Math. That's going to replace your Excels, your PowerPoints. Really great piece of software, and I think it's really underrated because people thinks it looks dated. Are you a big Photoshop user? No problem. You can step right over, even though I hate the name GIMP. It's a great piece of software in and of itself. You can go online. You can go right here locally. You can do whatever you need to do with pictures. You can split the toolbars up, you can make it the way you want it to look. That's the beauty of it. With proprietary software, you pretty much buy it, you pay a big chunk of money, you get it, and you're pretty much set in the way you have to use it. With Linux, you can customize it, you can do the things that you need to do. It really comes down to what kind of software you use on a daily basis. And before you make that switch, you need to sit down and make a list. What do I use daily? Are you using your computer just to surf the web? Are you using your computer for business, where you have to be able to be online and do Word documents and do Excel documents and things like that? LibreOffice will work. You won't miss a beat. It may take 10-15 minutes to figure out, okay, this is a little different, but it'll definitely get the job done. Email clients. A lot of Linux distributions come with the Thunderbird email client. It's a great email client. It's got everything that you could possibly want compared to Outlook. I use MailSpring. That's a personal choice, and that's the beauty of being on Linux, is you can make personal choices and do what you need to do. But that's the big deal. Sit down and look at it. Maybe you're a Chrome user and you use nothing but Google's apps. I am of a more non-proprietary software guy. I like using what's open source, what's out there, what I can get into, what I can get for free. I edit my videos on here with Kdenlive. It's a free non-linear video editor, and it is amazing. The things you can do with it, there is a bit of a learning curve, but once you make that learning curve, everything is pretty easy to do. I do have Lightworks downloaded as a backup. Now let me explain something here real quick. If you have a problem with Microsoft Windows, you can go into forums. You can go into Microsoft Windows forums. And to be quite honest, 99.9% of the times when you get on a Microsoft forum, they tell you, Control-Alt-Delete, check Task Manager, close it, restart your system. It's the blanket excuse for everything. There are a lot of forums with these distributions of Linux. Ubuntu's got a big forum. Linux Mint's got a big forum. Pop! OS is getting better. Manjaro's got a big forum. Now, let me explain something to you. If you're a base user, you're just a beginner, like I am trying to reach out to right now. Most everything you can get answered on a forum quickly, or you can Google it. Generally speaking, some of these forums do want you to do a little bit of the work. They're not going to bottle feed you. They're not going to hold your hand while you make this jump, but they will be there to help you. If you go on there and you have an issue and you say, look, I've tried this, and this, y'all, what is the problem? And 99.9% of the time, somebody on that forum will jump in and help you in a heartbeat. When I originally switched to Linux Mint, I had to do a little bit of Googling here and there, but other than that, I was up and running, and that was 11 years ago, and I've never looked back. But that's definitely something you're going to have to look into. What software do you use? Are you tied to an ecosystem, whether it be Microsoft or Google? If you're in Microsoft or Google's ecosystem, you can get online and use their web apps and not miss a beat. You can just pull it up, go, and you're there. Here's what it really comes down to. If you've made that decision that you want to give Linux a shot, the best way to do it is to download a live version of Linux and try it out. Take a run. You don't got to overwrite Windows. You can put in a USB stick and enjoy it. And what we'll do is in the next video, I'll go over selecting a distro that's right for you to try out. At the same time, what you need to do is sit down and go through all the software that you use. And then just go Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo. Search it. You will be amazed at what's out there and what's available for Linux. My main goal of this channel is to get the beginning user, the person that is still wrapped up in whether it be Mac OS or whether it be Windows ecosystem, and get them to give Linux a try and make Linux mainstream. Because if you go anywhere, if you go to a bank, if you go in your car and there's any kind of software or any kind of computer system running there, it is more than likely running Linux. I thank you for watching my video today, and if you liked it, please like and subscribe. We got a lot of great information coming in the future. This is my first video, as I say, so I was a little nervous, so hopefully I didn't suck too bad. This is Troy. You've watched Mainstream Linux. Have a great day.